Remember how Anakin and Obi-Wan were like brothers during the Clone Wars? But why did Anakin turn on Obi-Wan so quickly on Mustafar during Episode 3? Lucky for us, we have an answer. In the canon book Skywalker: A Family at War, we get a glimpse into Anakin's mind right before his epic duel with Obi-Wan on Mustafar. The problem with coveting power is that no amount of authority and influence is ever enough. Despite crushing those he believed to be his enemies, taking his seat at the right hand of the newly crowned Emperor, Anakin felt more insecure than ever, terrified of losing everything. Just as the Sith legend Darth Plagueis had warned, Padme had begged Anakin to join her on Naboo. There she could have their child and they could live as a family without interference from the outside world. Retreating to her homeworld was surely the only chance to escape and salvage their relationship. On that day, that meant the newly installed Sith apprentice believed himself to be stronger than his devious master, believing that he had single-handedly brought peace to the Republic. Anakin now craved domination over the remade galaxy. Something in Padme broke. Perhaps it was her heart, or simply her continuing her justifications for Anakin and his mounting transgressions. Fearless and decisive, Padme refused to follow her husband down his dark path he was so intent on treading. With one final plea, she begged him to stop before it was too late and come back to the light. But Anakin's eyes had drifted from the face of his beloved to rest on a familiar silhouette. Obi-Wan Kenobi had stowed away on the ship, anticipating Padme would follow her heart and lead him to his quarry, Anakin Skywalker, or more accurately, Darth Vader. Concluding Padme and Obi-Wan were conspiring against him, Anakin reached out with the Force, seizing his wife by the throat. Padme was entirely unprepared for the shocking intensity of her husband's wrath. Obi-Wan commanded him to let her go, and unconscious but still alive, Padme crumbled to the floor. Anakin was desperate for someone to blame. He couldn't be angry at Padme for long, for in taking the burden of his child, he had put her on a pedestal, as high as which he still kept his dear departed mother. He couldn't find fault with Palpatine, the mentor who helped him become far more powerful than any Jedi, who long held him back. Thus, from Anakin's twisted perspective, all roads led back to Obi-Wan Kenobi, incapable of being the father figure and teacher Anakin yearned for. Obi-Wan had failed to help Anakin control his instincts that led him to kneel at the altar of the Sith. To add insult to injury, Obi-Wan somehow turned his beloved against him. Obi-Wan epitomized everything Anakin sought to eliminate. He was so far beyond the power of reason that he viewed anyone who refused to bow down before the Sith as a bitter enemy. Darth Sidious, Dark Lord of the Sith, had totally eradicated the good man Obi-Wan knew as Anakin Skywalker. The man who confronted him was something new, an adversary born of the dark side, hell-bent on destruction, power-hungry, and unrepentant. When Anakin turned to the dark side, he believed he was doing a just thing in trying to save his wife from certain death. But as Anakin became more and more consumed by darkness, he began to change and become corrupt by its power. This was no longer about just saving his wife. Now Anakin believed he had the power to overthrow the Emperor and rule the galaxy himself. This power became an addiction where it clouded Anakin's judgment and perspective, turning it into pure hatred. I found it really interesting in the passage that the second Obi-Wan showed up, Anakin blamed Obi-Wan for everything, from being a terrible master form and how Obi-Wan's teachings failed Anakin, as Anakin blamed Obi-Wan for being the reason why he's in this predicament in the first place. Not to mention what Anakin perceived as Padme siding with Obi-Wan as they conspired to kill him. Anakin believed that he was the victim in all this, as George Lucas says, that no one who's evil thinks of themselves as evil. But let me know your thoughts. Do you think Anakin was justified in his thinking here, or was Anakin just losing his mind? But speaking of Anakin, I made a video about Anakin's thoughts as he turned to the dark side if you want to check that one out. It should be on your screen now. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.